Welcome once again to the Baseball America video podcast. I'm Kirk. I'm here with Aaron Fitt. We just watched Arizona State eliminate North Carolina 12-5, and that advances them to basically the Final Four here. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end, but for now, let's talk about tonight's game. It dragged at times, but it did have its moments.
Yeah, it did have its moments. I mean, this game was pretty competitive up until Arizona State broke it open in the 7th inning with that 8th spot. But, it's interesting. Arizona State came out flat in this game. North Carolina grabbed that early 4-0 lead. But they weren't really hitting Josh Spence that hard. A couple of those runs were scored on safety squeezes. And, it wasn't one of those deals where they were really dominating this game. And then Spence, settled in, and the Sun Devils offense, I think, kind of woke up, taking advantage of an erratic Matt Harvey.
Yeah, were you surprised at all that Arizona State did wake up? I mean, through 4 innings, they're down 4-0. It looked a lot like the Texas game where they had a big lead and then everything went away. How much were you surprised that Arizona State did mount that comeback?
Yeah, I guess that's the difference from the Texas game is that, they played well early and then they just fell flat, and it looked in the beginning like they were continuing, to play with that flatness. I think that's what you're saying. But all of a sudden, they just turned it on, and I'll tell you what, Kirk, this played into Arizona State's strengths as an offense, their patience. More than anything else, that's what makes Arizona State a good offense, is the way they work the count. If you're not going to throw strikes, maybe we should have seen that Matt Harvey was not a great matchup for Arizona State. He's a guy whose command can waver, and if he's not finding the strike zone, then he could be in trouble. And Arizona State was going to make him work.
And each time Mike Fox went to the bullpen, rather than put out the fire, the relievers all seemed to fuel it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There was no relief today. It was just one of those days for North Carolina. Nothing was going well. It's a tough way for North Carolina to end its season. And I've never seen Mike Fox as emotional. Even in the last 3 years here, when their season ended, I've never seen Mike Fox as emotional as he was today in the postgame. It was clear that he had just come from a very emotional session in the locker room with some of his players. And that had to be hard for him to say goodbye to a lot of those guys.
How surprised were you? Let's talk about Josh Spence a little bit more. How surprised were you he was able to do what he did on short rest?
Pretty surprised. I didn't expect him to go with Josh Spence. Spence said afterward that he expected to pitch this game. It had been decided pretty much after the Texas game, and it's nothing new for him. He's pitched on short rest before. I just thought that at some point, it could catch up with him because he hasn't pitched much, Kirk, over the last 2 months. He'd had that finger injury. He'd been out, and he hadn't built himself up, recently. I was curious how he would respond in a 3rd straight long outing, and he responded better than I expected. Clearly Pat Murphy knows his guy. He knows Josh Spence has a rubber arm, and it worked out great for him.
We have some more video on another clip of Cole Calhoun and what he did tonight: a home run, a double, 6 RBIs. So we can touch that base a little more over there. Let's talk a little bit about tomorrow on those matchups. We've got Arkansas against LSU, and then also ASU and Texas.
Yeah, it's a couple of games where I think LSU is a very heavy favorite. But the Arizona State-Texas game to me, I think, is pretty wide open. I could see it going either way. I don't know if Arizona State knows yet what it's going to do with its pitching. I would expect him to start Seth Blair, but we expected that today too, and it didn't happen. So who knows what Pat Murphy's going to do. I think you have to give Texas the edge. They're in the winner's bracket, Kirk, and we've seen it over the years. The team that wins its first 2 games, 75% of the time goes on to the finals. It's happened statistically, I think, just 5 times that a team has run through the loser's bracket to reach the finals. So certainly Arizona State and Arkansas have their work cut out for them.
Is the biggest thing in your mind just that they're so thin on pitching? What do they have to do to climb that mountain?
That's it. Now they've used Spence twice. We know Mike Leake isn't 100%, and he's on short rest also. Maybe you'll see Mike Leake on Saturday. But I will be surprised to see him tomorrow. Fortunately, they didn't get to rest Mitchell Lamson today, which I think was huge. He's going to eat some innings for them tomorrow. I think they'll cobble it together. We haven't seen Newman off the mound yet either. I think they'll be okay. I think they could force another game there, but certainly Texas is in much better position with the rested pitching staff.
Kirk, Aaron Fitt, that'll do it for tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks a lot.